So our game was you're kind of taking place as Fate. You have a certain amount of characters running their boring, mundane lives, and you have to kind of inject excitement into their lives by creating events around them that kind of distract them from their mundane lives, from their jobs that they don't enjoy. And what else was there we did in this? We're thinking about
adding persistence, so that the characters, as you create and work on them, they mean value to you, and if you leave them and neglect them, they go and sleep in their beds eternally, and you lose the characters. So sort of adding a bit of a progression and loss to the game. So the excitement is both for the players, like trying to keep the characters exciting and alive, keep the heart rates going, but also for the actual user themselves.
And also, the more you make the characters happy, the more scope you can do. Like at the beginning, you can only make like flowers sprout, whereas at the end you can make it like rain money and things like this.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Round of applause. Okay, can we have B to the front, please? Okay, Hash, please. Hash. B, tell us your idea.
Well, we kind of came up with several vague ideas. It was more brainstorming vagueness. Anyway, one thing we thought about was playing Inside the Body, a sort of platformy game where you were a blood cell trying to get to the heart, and we came up with various sort of things we could do, like if you play multiplayer where one person is the blood cell and the other person is playing as the person, and controlling the person does different things to the blood flow, like making the person run speeds up the blood flow, or making them do something else makes them the blood flow slower, that sort of thing.
Another idea that was tossed around was like a robot trying to get a heart, a bit like Wizard of Oz. And then I was thinking like add like an Alice in Wonderland twist on it, so everything's all, you know.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Round of applause, and you go on to the next slide. Thank you. C to the front, please. Okay, Team C.
Okay, so basically what we came up with a couple of concepts, but our kind of discussion mainly focused around what heart actually meant as in terms of concept. And one of the things we came up with was kind of the concept of heart and mind, and so like how the body wants one thing, but the heart, actually the emotional response of a person may want something different. And so therefore the conflict between the two, we figured that was a pretty good basis for a game. We did have a couple of ideas, but I'm not sure if I'm actually supposed to be revealing other people's ideas, and this gentleman has quite clearly said no, so I'm not actually going to talk about that. So, we ended up with conflict. We explored emotion as sort of like a concept, as in making characters for sort of explore the game of love, but that's not really that brilliant. We ended up with some ideas about game hunting and things like that, actually collecting physical hearts. But again, we've got other ideas, but we're not too keen to reveal those at the
Okay, thank you very much. Do you want to flick on the next slide? Or not? Can we get D to the front, please? Okay, D.
Shut up! I would attempt to convey the idea of this game through an interpretive dance. No. Like last year. Yeah, pretty much what we've got is an awesome tower defense game where you play as a heart with several turrets. Ventricle turrets, if we're being
And then pretty much what happens is there's a kind of a radial wall around the heart, and viruses, clots, and bacteria come through the various veins that spawn, and you have to shoot them with your ventricle turrets. You've got an adrenaline power-up that speeds up the heart, speeds up the heartbeat, and every heartbeat you gain extra ammo of which to fight the viruses, clots, and bacteria. Enemies of different shapes need to be hit with a corresponding shape to kill them, and yeah, you also get a shield. So.
Excellent stuff. Click on to the next slide. East to front. E. I am. Okay. E. Check, please.
Okay, our idea is you have the heart, you have veins and arteries heading out in a spider-like diagram. You also have the organs, different organs, like nearly all, like 5 or 6. And you have to go. The virus has to go through before it reaches the heart. And you have to use specific units to defend the heart from the different types of viruses and bacteria, from getting to the lungs and then, or any organ, and getting to the heart. You can the heartbeat slows down things going against the flow of the blood.
It's almost like a kind of like a League of Legends lane-based, that kind of idea, but with veins being the lanes and trying to get to the heart being like the main base. You're trying to defend that, kind of the general idea.
Excellent stuff. Okay, thank you very much. You click on to the next slide. Excellent stuff, please. Okay, thank you very much. F.
Right, we looked at heartbeats and we thought, right, what's in the heartbeat? So we thought, Crank, the movie. It's like Harry Potter. So we've kind of crammed the two to make an unholy game. You are a wizard with telekinetic powers who's been dropped into a city.
You can get guns.
Who can cast guns and telekinetic powers, so blast everyone here and blast you guys away. And your heart, you've been injected with a virus or magical power or charm or something, depends what.
Go out to the world, kill everyone, crush everyone, go into a hospital, see Darth Vader versus Dumbledore, get some blood pumping.
Yeah, you've got to get things. Yes. If we can afford him. If we can afford him, yes. But the aim of the game. Quiet you. The aim of the game is to keep your heart rate up, but not too high. If you go too high, your heart will explode. And to lower that, you have to collect, was it puppies? You have to collect puppies and kittens to lower the heart rate, but cause absolute carnage to get your heart rate up. With telekinetic powers, race cars, throw them, jump off buildings and bounce off, and yeah, loads of things. Open world maps.
Excellent, thank you very much.
If you do nothing?
You're done.
Click on to the next slide, please.
Yep.
And G to the front. G? Oh, there is a G. Sorry. There was a G. H to the front.
I apologise, my throat's destroyed. Okay, right. Our game idea is a sort of top-down horror role-playing thing. I don't know, it's a portion. Anyway, essentially, you play yourself, who has inherited a house from an old man, but you didn't actually inherit it. They said it's the wrong person, and you go to the house to evaluate it, and you start to feel, well, the game starts to try and make you feel guilty. The main aim of the game is to evaluate the whole house by praising it, basically entering and praising it. But while you're doing so, you feel more guilty, and then you know, when you're feeling a bit iffy and you start seeing things out the corner of your eye, well, they might start to come real, and you start to see some eerie similarities within the house and your own life while you're trying to explore it. The main goal is to obviously get out of the house with a nice appraisal, knowing that you're going to get away with effectively stealing a house, or losing and realising that, yeah, maybe I shouldn't have done it in the first place, but hey, at least the right person gets the house, so it's up to you to decide what you do and how guilty you can make yourself feel, and how long you can, well, go along without feeling really bad, essentially. So the whole process of the game is to basically not feel like a dick.
Thank you very much.
If you can do that, then you win.
How are you going to make people feel like
There'll be basically one of the things that we're going to do is at the start, when you get the contract, you have to fill out the contract with your personal details, obviously let them know. And the personal details will be re-put into the game in forms of letters. Your name will be put in weird places that will freak you out. So I was in Stafford the other day and I saw Chris, and I thought I killed him one day. You know, something like that sort of thing. Obviously, it hasn't been fleshed out yet, but it's sort of the idea of it.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's take on to the next slide.
Being abandoned.
Okay. We good? Tell us your idea.
Yeah, so we were thinking of basically making a massively multiplayer online game set in the wonderful world of Heartbeat. The series. We've already got some really great quests that we could come up with for that.
Yeah, like you can drink like a whole cup of tea,
Yeah.
boiling hot,
Yeah,
down.
really fancy.
Yeah, it's great. Like, you know,
Collect the farmers' goats, sand it, collect them up, get them done, sorted.
Can I play the policeman?
Yeah.
Yes, you
The classes, we've got village front, and you'll be able to customise with having lots of different village front kind of like looking things. So yeah, that's that. That's what we're doing.
Excellent stuff. Winner. Right. Next slide, please. Jay to the
Where is he? What have you done?
Okay.
What have you done?
Where's our missing one? Where is he? We're missing it.
Oh God! Yay!
He's gone.
Okay, so tell me your idea.
Right, basically, because we're not all going to be working together after this, we decided to get out of the way our ideas that we are definitely not going to do, probably because they're horrible. The first idea was that we'd have a sex game. Where basically you have to watch your heartbeat, otherwise you could have a heart attack.
So inspired!
That was supposed to do it. And then the other one was slightly more sensible, open heart surgery game, where basically the game gets more progressively difficult as the surgery progresses. And then the more you screw up, the more the heartbeat rises. And basically the heart explodes if you screw up too much.
Bear in mind, at the end of this game, you will become a successful surgeon. So you can
The idea played off one of the diversifiers last year was it's an educational game. It's like train you to be a surgeon. And then there was another one. We were thinking about an idea based on just sappy love, where like you go on a date and watch your heartbeat, otherwise you screw up things you say or something like that. But that's about it.
Okay, thanks very much. Thank you, Kate, in front. Yeah, that's great.
Hello! Right. The heart. It's all about love and feelings and caring. One of these things that people care about is friendships. We want to kill friendships. So we've made a multiplayer game, which is a combination of a side-scrolling game and, you know, Guitar Hero. When people play Guitar Hero when you play two-player, when your friend messed up, did you not want to give them a concussion with the guitar? So what we've got is we've got a game where it's a side-scroller. One player controls a single white blood cell, or a cell that can move around the level and goes up through the veins to transport different things like oxygen across through the different veins, up into the arteries, drop off into the veins, back into the heart. The other player has to control the heartbeat, and he does this through sort of a rhythm, you know the rhythm gameplay kind of thing, scrolling down, and depending on the different abilities, well, not the abilities, the different activities that the character is doing, it goes faster, slower. If it goes faster, the game moves faster. It gets progressively difficult. If it goes slower, it's not that bad. The player has to avoid cholesterol, has to avoid enemy cells, all this kind of thing, while the other player has to constantly keep up with the beat. And if he doesn't, boom, they fail, they strangle each other for a bit, people cry, these things happen.
Thank you very much. Woo! Next slide, please. All of you do the next slide. Al to the front, please. Okay, so.
Never. Pretty much, our game is an adrenaline-based action game where the player must keep up their heart rate by causing havoc throughout the open-ended single levels. The problem is, if your heart rate gets too low, you die. If it gets too high, you get a heart attack and you die also. The game incorporates a score-based system. So the more havoc you cause, the more points you get combos, you get score multipliers and so on. So it encourages online player, multiplayer play. Also it has rhythm mechanics as well. So in certain events or certain actions, if you manage to match your button presses or your clicks with your heart rate, you actually get more points and so on.
Okay, thank you very much. Next slide, please. Tell us your idea.
We want to thank Dave for this because, you know, we had a shit idea and he made it really good. Disturbing. I'm definitely going with it. Yeah. GTA 1, Crazy Taxi, heart donors. Only problem is you've got to steal the hearts from alive people to take them to the dead people.
And to the front, please. Okay, group N, tell us your idea.
We're pitching a survival horror game focusing on the main character's heartbeat and panic levels. The character's heartbeat raises in the darkness. The character will wake up in a sewer setting, seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. He hears the words, "run." As the character runs forward, it becomes apparent there is a maze ahead, and you have to be quick to escape. If you look behind you, the darkness has covered where you've been, and if you stay too long, the character will die and go into cardiac arrest. The game is called The Creeping Darks.
Exciting! Thank you, Alex. Oh! Whoa! Hey, tell us your idea.
Okay, well basically you're a 12-year-old child who goes to sleep and then wakes up in a nightmare. There's personified evil is following you around, and if your heartbeat sometimes goes up if you see any scary things, like there'll be traps and stuff going around, and you have a teddy bear and a flashlight, and if your heartbeat gets too loud, the personified evil will be able to hear you and will be able to come and find you, and you'll be able to like sort of calm yourself down by hugging your teddy bear and standing still. And if your heartbeat gets too loud and you get found, you then wake up and get mauled to death.
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much. Round of applause. Hey.
Okay,
so we came up with a simple platformer game, but where we incorporate the heartbeat is that the faster your heart gets, the more likely you are to black out. You've got some sort of heart problem that causes blackouts. Every time you stumble across a monster or a trap or something, it jumps your heart rate up, but your movement speed is governed by your heart rate. So if you want to move faster, you have to get your heart rate going. So it's kind of a balancing act between being able to run away fast enough from the enemies, but not so fast that you explode and die. You can pick up caffeine, but not too much caffeine. Otherwise, again, you're going to explode and die. And alcohol, of course, counteracts caffeine. So that's that.
Okay, thank you very much. Can you hit the next slide, please? Thank you. Okay, tell us your ideas.
So our game is as you are an old man and you had a heart attack. So your objective is to run to hospital. It's a Temple Run-esque game where you got to run from objects, and as you're in your pants and shirt, police are chasing you because you're in decent exposure. And every time you hit something, it may distract you from your heartbeat because you've got to regulate your heartbeat, otherwise you have a heart attack on the street. And each level you get to, it's harder, so you might have weather effects, it might be ice, so when you have too much of a heart strain, you fall on the ice, you're instantly dead. Or it's like really hot, so you might have a lot slower heart and stuff like that. That's really it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great, yes. Someone get the next slide, please. Thank you. All together now. Arr! Arr! Thank you.
The game is a top-down survival horror set in complete darkness, except for a small area around the player. As the player moves, he uses up energy. As if he comes near a monster, he uses up more energy as the heartbeat increases, but it also helps him to negotiate around monsters. If the player gets in contact with a monster, he dies. If all his energy is used up, he also dies.
There we go. Thank you very much. So, tell us your idea.
Yeah, it's a 2D game where it's like cooperative. One person plays another, and these two people are in love. And when they become apart, the heart rate drops, so you move slower. And of course, if you move too far away from each other, you die. I have more than that.
Yeah, the concept is basically you're a couple who've gone on like a love tunnel ride, and there's some monsters which have rerouted the love tunnel to the haunted house. And basically when this happens, you're obviously together and you're scared stiff, and when you're close to each other and your heart beats better, you can see further. But when you split up, it gets darker and the monsters will come and get you. And also certain monsters as well, which will try to pull you away from each other as well. And yeah, so each level basically you've got to find a way out of the maze.
So a little bit Spelunky in love.
Oh, great, thanks very much. Oh, okay. Okay, tell us your ideas.
Okay, what we have got is a game where you have 4 people in a house, but one of the people is in fact a vampire. The idea of the game is the vampire has to kill off all the rest of the humans without getting caught. The humans have one advantage, they have heart monitors. Good news, the vampire does not have a heartbeat, so he's easy to detect. Bad news, the heart monitor only works in close quarters. So therefore you have to sort of play a stealth game to try and sneak in, stab people from behind without getting caught if you're playing the vampire. As the humans, you have to work together and make sure you don't kill your friends because you're an idiot. You can also have noisy areas, so therefore your heart monitor you can't actually hear, and eventually it builds up to a lot of like double checking, you're sort of scared of who actually the vampire is. You can also do things such as heal each other, which in turn you can accidentally heal the vampire, and the vampire could get pickups where it could break the heart monitors for a short amount of time.
Excellent stuff, thanks very much. What's the last one? So, tell us your idea.
So we thought that when do you notice the heart? The only time you notice is when the heart's beating, right? So we thought the only time it's beating is when you're scared. So we thought maybe make a action horror survival game, maybe something like that, and then I can't remember the rest of it.
Our game is set within somebody's nightmares, and you like each level is. Every level of the game is contained in the same house, but you wake up in a different location. And sort of as you're going through the game, your heart rate increases. Sort of, it's kind of like a reverse of the Crank film. And you have to, when you're controlling the character, you have to have like to move. You use the mouse, but you have to have the mouse button clicked on, and then you do stuff with WSD and all that. And your heart rate's constantly increasing, as well as like it being spiked by enemies, etc. And every now and then, you like to make sure you don't like have too high heart rate and fail. You have to like steady your breathing. So to do that, you have to take your hands off of the current controls to move them to do whatever it is to control your breathing. So there's a bit of tactics involved there, and basically. What did we decide? That when you go from, like say your end level victory, you wake up, but it's in fact into level 2, which is another nightmare, and you will be able to tell when you fail because like the colour setting for nightmare is sort of like grayscale with red as dangerous sort of thing, and when you wake up for good, it'll be in a nice colourful environment.
Excellent stuff. Thank you very much.
We pretty much came up with some ideas what Group D came up with. Pretty much picture tower defense game, protecting the heart from the cholesterol, viruses, and diseases. The heart, the cholesterol are pretty much coming through the bloodstream, get to the heart. We thought of a multiplayer feature where one person pretty much puts the diseases and everything into the bloodstream, and one person protects the heart. We also came up with a feature, what was it, 10 points in health. Say if you get like 10 bits of viruses, 10 bits of cholesterol coming to the heart, they like clog it up and it like slows the heartbeat down. And we also came up with the feature of you can tell how good you're doing by if the player is pretty much just standing up straight, he's doing fine. As soon as he clutches his heart, you can tell he's doing really bad because the heartbeat slows down. As soon as he's on the floor, you're doing very, very bad. As soon as a skull comes over something, you're dead. And Duffield came up with a brilliant name for it. What was that name? Heart attack. Heart attack. Well done.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Next one.
There's Newton Camp's face.
Right.
Hey, Shush.
We had like 2 ideas. The first one was an internal organ dating simulator. When you play as Russell the Love Muscle and we're guided through romantic relationships by the heart, the love guru, which is the heart. You can date all the different organs, like the liver, which is usually drunk all the time, the neurotic brain, who usually isn't so lucky in love. But that's idea 1. Idea 2 was you play this guy called Tony Hart, who is a really big, fat, cancerous heart covered in cholesterol in the ribcage, and he wants to escape. And basically, has no arms and legs. He detaches himself somehow from the veins and stuff, and basically rolls around the body, skidding through patches of adrenaline and deposits of energy drink, getting faster and faster, breaking down walls, and finally breaking out of the escaping. So those are our 2 ideas.
Thank you very much. Can I hit the next slide, please? Okay, X, give us your ideas.
Hello everyone. We actually had a problem where we had too many ideas, so we're actually trying to narrow it down. We had it coming from running around, trying to blow kisses to raise people's heart rates up. We had an idea where you were being chased around the screen by a giant heart, with a big hug. Even had an idea where you had to actually connect up with a physical heart rate monitor, and that actually generated your level as you actually went to get it down. Eventually, we actually decided to narrow it down to giving life to objects. You know, you've got all these different, you've got a scene, and you've only got a certain amount of hearts. You've got to put the hearts into objects to actually get to move around, walk around, to actually escape from the puzzle itself.
That's about it, really.
Yeah, cool. Yeah.
Excellent stuff. Thanks very much. Why? Why have I not come back yet?
I think heart transplant means your arcade claw machine. You play the role of a doctor and you use the mobile phone's accelerometer to control where your claw is going when your patient is having seizures moving around. There's other obstacles like doctors' arms coming in, trying to perform surgery on other livers like the organs, like scalpels running in, which you've got to try and avoid to time your attack. And there's also a multiplayer mode, which might use Bluetooth or Wi-Fi or whatever. But one person plays the patient who's desperately trying not to lose his heart, as they also using the accelerometer, moving away from the claw machine, whilst the doctor is again.
Excellent stuff. Thank you very much.
Okay, Dudley, so our most solid idea was this. Your character is somehow desperately unfit and is on a mission to get fitter, okay? And it's kind of like either in a side-scrolling environment where you have to run and keep in the screen while something, not decided, is chasing you. But if you do too much, your stress levels get higher and higher and higher to a point where, unfortunately, that's the end of it for you, and it turns into a whole sort of different stuff.
Yeah, the point is you start off looking pretty much like Jabba the Hutt. You pass women and they go ew and scream in terror. But the whole point by the end of it is all like Arnold Schwarzenegger by getting fit, getting healthy, but keeping your heart rate being relevant to stressful levels. To motivate yourself, you've got a donut strapped to your head at the start, and this gradually changes throughout the game to something more healthier. So it changes through to energy drinks when you're halfway point, to fruit, things like that in the end. It's also a puzzle as well, so you have to kind of control and maintain your weight and balance it to pass actually through the levels. So at one point you might need to be a specific weight to stand on a platform. If you're too light, you'll be able to get through it. So it's about balancing and keeping that in mind as well.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, are there any groups that came in late or escaped my ice breaking that want to pitch some ideas? Is that it? Are we done?